I was coaching a client the other day, and I remember her saying to me, "You know what, Kwesi, the way you present what I need to do, you're so organized, you've given me such clarity." And she basically gave me an audio testimonial during our call. And I just said, "You know what, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for saying that." And she asked me, "How did you learn how to do that? How did you learn how to provide clarity? How did you learn to be so structured in our sessions?" And I simply said, "You know what? It's not just me. I learned from the coaches that I've hired. I've invested in myself. As much as you're investing in me, I go out and I invest in coaches in many areas of my life." So that's how I learn and grow and build my coaching business so that it can be successful. I learn from my own coaches. And then she said something to me. She said, "You know what? I guess that's true. The more you learn, the more you can teach." So I told you a story there of a coaching client. And the reason I'm doing it is because you can use some keys that I used in that story to help you when you're telling stories, whether it's for clients to try to sell yourself. And I call it the 3T approach. This is how you tell a great story. T number one is time and place. You want to make sure that you bring your audience into the time and the place where you were actually doing something. Now, in this case, I just talk about coaching a client. So I said I was coaching a client the other day. So you're now there. You've come with me to my coaching session and you're basically there with me. Now, you can use this on an even greater scale when you're talking about something going on and it happened at a specific physical place. You know, I walked into the hotel lobby and the light shone on my face and I did this, right? So you want to try to bring your listener into the scene that you're talking about. That's T number one, time and place. Second T is what I call talking. Another word for that is dialogue. The way you bring more presence into your stories is give the lines that people say, that you say in dialogue. Instead of saying, you know, I talked to my client about other coaches I've had in the past, that's narration. I said, "You know what? I said to her, I learned it from my coaches." And then she said to me, "You know what? That's why you've provided me clarity." So I've given that dialogue. It's like I'm having a conversation. It's like it's happening in the moment. And that's how you bring people in with your story. And the final point, and a lot of speakers miss this, the last T is what I call the takeaway. You have to have something that your audience can hold on to. There's a reason that if you've ever heard JFK's inaugural speech, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. People remember that line decades later. I'll be honest, I don't remember much else from that speech. I've heard it, but I don't remember much else, but I remember that line. You want to have a takeaway line, something that they can hold on to and remember from your speech. So you'll notice that in my story, I said that my client said to me, "The more you learn, the more you can teach." Remember to have a takeaway line from every story, because a lot of times, as good a storyteller as you might be, your audience won't remember, or the person you're sitting across from won't remember everything you said, but they'll remember that takeaway line. And I want to close with this. Listen, you can use storytelling on the stage, but a lot of times people miss the fact that you can be one-on-one with someone and tell a story with a takeaway line. You can be in a group meeting and tell a story with a takeaway line. Don't just save it for speeches. Use storytelling in your everyday life, and people will say, "You know what? You're such a great conversationalist. I love listening to you." And also, it helps to develop you and your ability to communicate. So remember the 3 T's.